5 major mistakes that I have made in my 11-year scootering career. Alright, why take my advice? I'm someone who has dedicated 11 years of my life to scootering. I have currently made over 70 flat world's first on a scooter, all documented on my social medias. Now, I have been around since the early days of scootering, where the only options we really had was to ride like commercial scooters, like Racer Pro model, if you guys recall, Mad Gear Pro. You know, we were limited to only riding stock parts. We didn't really have that option back in the day to have this really insane aftermarket parts like titanium parts and all that super light stuff. Like, no, at that time we just had to bite our mouth and just do our best, I guess. Okay, now the first major mistake that I have made in my career was to pick the worst possible setups for my goals. So let's say back in time I wanted to be the best that I could be at flat riding, but what did I do? I picked scooters that weighed close to 4 kilograms, and all of the weight on the scooter were placed at the back of the deck, so it was horrible for riding flat. And I just kept doing this over and over again because I really like the aesthetics of these setups. And sure, having an aesthetic scooter is great, but if your goal is to make the fastest progress possible, then that's not what you should focus on. And when I first started, I had a Racer Pro model that I was really happy with. I made a lot of progress with it. But then when I started to buy this really heavy and bad constructed setups, I just regressed so much. I went from having a consistent tail whip, heel whip, and like truck driver flat to not being able to perform these tricks anymore, which was horrible. So I think the message that I want to give you guys is, if you have a clear goal in mind, you want to become the best ramp rider, flat, street rider, you gotta choose the best parts for that and better. The next lesson learned is that I did not pick the right role models in scootering. There is an old saying that I'm gonna put on the screen here. This is what happened to me. Like at that time, there were a lot of people that I looked up to, but I really wish I had interacted more with those people, because in my circle, I was the guy that pushed himself like to the limits, and the other people in my circle, they just didn't follow. And I kind of got, at some point, I got discouraged actually to keep pursuing my goals. But as you guys know, when you are surrounded with people that are just as motivated as you are, that really push it hard, you will end up doing that too. If 3 of your friends can quad whip flat and you can double whip flat right now, there is a high likelihood that you will be able to quad whip flat one day too. But if your friends can only do a heel whip flat and you can do a double whip flat, the chances of you getting a quad whip is significantly lower. Alright, next mistake is going to be recovery. Alright, so maybe a little further in time, when I really started to push myself, you know, I started to travel more and meet up with people. You know, then we were riding really hard for days. And what ended up happening is that on the first day when we rode, everything was going great. We did all these crazy tricks. But as the days went by, I got more and more beat up. I tried to do the tricks I did the first day, and I actually failed them. And I got demotivated and just lost my courage. So I think this is something you should start to manage more as you get more intermediate. It's like really rest between sessions. Don't ride hard every single day. Like what I would do today is that I would ride really hard the first day, then the second day I actually do a lot more just motions and stuff, maybe do some light tricks. Then on the third day probably rest and just take it really easy, manage my stress. And then after that, we could get back to what we did the first day. Because that one's big. And there are many ways that you can enhance your recovery. Like I use this, like nowadays I use this massage gun, which can really help. I think this is one of the things that makes the soreness go away, and it's just really good for relaxation. Do it before bed or after sessions. It's just so damn good. So check it out. Go to the website. I'm gonna put it here in the description. This thing is really nice. But yeah, make sure you're getting a lot of sleep and you eat well and stuff. Mistake number 3 is not thinking long term. Alright, so the best example I have with this is when I did my when I wanted to learn Bri flip flat for the first time. So you guys know I stand in goofy when I ride, and I did my Bri flips on the right side. So if you do this, it will be a hell of a lot harder to do Bri flip combos. Like Bri flip to tail whip is literally impossible. And like I would dedicate a lot of time just practicing this tricks on the wrong way. And when I finally learned Bri flip flat, I was like, what's the next step? Bri flip to whip? No, because it was impossible. I couldn't do it. So I had to relearn the whole trick again, which I was so not happy about that. Like I could have spent that time to learn other tricks like front Bris and 3-seater Bris and all that stuff, but yeah, I was limited. So sometimes you just have to take that step back and relearn stuff in the beginning. So I think long term, also have a good example of my friend Jacob. You guys probably know him. He does all of his tail whips with a 6-change. He has been doing this for his entire life, and now he regrets that a lot because it's a lot harder for him to progress. Like to do certain tricks like 360 combos and stuff, like he always has to do that 6-change. And this makes it a lot harder for him to progress. So what you want to do is from the beginning try to learn the tricks the right way, okay? But hell, it's really good for the steez. Like when he does his tricks and stuff, a lot of street riders, they admire him so much because it just looks steezy. Alright, so now the last mistake that I did is not incorporating the gym early on. And yes, this did actually make a significant difference in my performance back in 2017. So my entire life I had been riding scooters without any other type of training. Sure, I did tricking for a short period of time, but it didn't really have any carryover to my scootering performance. But when I got into the gym and I started to train like basic exercises like squat, deadlift, overhead presses and all that stuff, my scootering performance did actually improve. It did. Like, believe it how much you want. I really think that scootering or the gym has a impact on your ability to recover. Also, when you bail your tricks, you tend to not get as hurt because you have muscles protecting your bones and all that stuff. So I think that's really good. If you guys would like to see a specific workout for improving your scootering performance, please comment down below or hit the like button and I will see what I can come up with. Alright, but that's it for this video. Trying to not keep it too long. So yeah, and I really hope I get my new part soon so that we can get some new insane world's first tricks. Alright, thanks for watching.